In this health study, what we need to do when we're trying to build bridges of diversity, so it's all good. Hey, listen, we are living in a day where every year and every decade and every generation, society is changing and moving and evolving and transforming, and the societal norms and mores and politics and legislations change. And as that moves and evolves, shifts, and changes, it brings a challenge to us. Those of us who study theology, there are theological challenges that face specifically the Christian church, but many different faith-based organizations and religions. But not just the church, even the methodologies of how we govern begins to change. Our sociological boundaries begin to be reformed, and all of us find ourselves at this place where there is a conflicting confluence between what we believe, how we behave, how we were raised, and how in the world can we stay doctrinally and theologically pure and keep our orthodoxy when our orthopraxis is being challenged. And we wonder, how do we somehow stay culturally relevant without being doctrinally aberrant? And so we find ourselves at this conflict, struggling, saying, how can we somehow bring the faith-based conversation into the secular marketplace, and is there a place for it? I've been asked to talk about how the church and how the faith-based community can engage culture, especially when it's changing. Hence, there is a big question that we must answer, and that is, how will the Church of Jesus Christ engage dynamically in a pluralistic world where things are changing all the time? One of the things that has helped me throughout the years, and many of you who read my stuff have probably read this, or at least you've heard me say it if you've heard me talk anywhere, and that is that old African proverb that says, "From afar, I thought he was a monster. When he got closer, I thought he was just an animal. When he got closer, I realized he was a human being. But when we were face to face, I realized he was my brother." You know, that African proverb lets us know that distance creates demonization. If you're distant from me, those people, they're monsters. They're animals. Well, maybe they're humans, and we can have the human dignity that Terry was talking about, which is a good base, but as long as those humans stay over there on that side of the world, we're all good. But what happens when we are face to face? Then we began to learn that people are not that different than us. That while there are differences, there are a lot of similarities. There is a lot of commonality, and we find out that comprehension begins with conversation. And I've held that principle for a long time. If you can just get people to have conversations, critical conversations can influence mindsets. Critical conversations can also help us create new pathways to thinking, and old paradigms may shift, but it begins with critical conversations. Terry helped us begin some of those critical conversations, and maybe in your workshops you had some of those critical conversations. I'm going to recommend to you and submit to you that the more conversations you can have, and the more you can begin to listen to other people, you can begin to shape and understand and comprehend.